NICO Williams, INAKI Williams, Serena Williams, Man United in 5. I'm joking. But all jokes aside, Manchester United get a very disciplined performance against Athletic Club to take a 3-0 lead back to Old Trafford and have one foot in the door of a European final. And I love it, guys. I love it because rival fans are so annoyed about the possible prospect of Manchester United or maybe Spurs playing in Champions League next year, despite how poor they've been in the league. And the funny thing is, we are only in the Europa League because we won the FA Cup despite finishing 8th last season. It's funny. I love it. Inject it into my veins. But you lot know what to do. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe because we got so much to talk about. And we are going to start with, for me, one of the standout players, despite the fact, of course, there's nothing on the score sheet to reflect that. Leny Yoro is showing why Manchester United spent 50 million on him. Honestly speaking, game after game, he is just growing in his role for Manchester United, whether it's playing on the left side of the centre-back position, playing on the right-handed side. Today in particular, in the first 20 minutes, Athletic Club absolutely hounded Manchester United on the ball to a point where I didn't even know how the game was going to turn out. Man United couldn't breathe. They were being suffocated in and out of possession. Leny Yoro in the tight spaces, being pressed, comfortable on the ball. And this is why it's so important, I think, to have centre-backs that are good on the ball because they just offer you some ease. And he's so young, still quite inexperienced maybe in comparison to a lot of his other counterparts at Manchester United, but you don't really get that feeling from him when he's on the ball, when he's in defensive transitions, when he's getting forward, when he's getting back, when he's reading the game. You don't really feel that. And Leny Yoro, for me, just showing again why Man United paid that money for him, but equally the potential that he has to become a great player. And I'm excited to see him build on what has been his first season at Manchester United. It hasn't been the most easiest of seasons for him, but I think game after game he's learning. I remember that game against Southampton where Manchester United and Leny Yoro really struggled against the pace and the speed of Southampton's wingers, and you can just see that he's learned from that and he's building on that. So shout out to Leny Yoro. But there's actually quite a few people that I have to shout out today. 2 players in particular for me, redemption arcs. They are experiencing a redemption story at Manchester United this season, especially Casemiro getting the goal. But even aside from the goal, all rounded across 90 minutes, even the first 20 minutes where I felt like every Man United player had an error in him, he was the most composed, most disciplined, most responsible, most experienced player on the pitch. And you can just see that from his gameplay. People wrote him off. I remember Carragher saying leave the football before the football leaves you back in September. Ruben Amorim dropping him from the team when he first came in and didn't really favour him and didn't really see something in him to play for Manchester United in that midfield. But over the last couple of months, Casemiro has been showing that. And today in particular, like I said, when there were situations where Manchester United just looked erratic on and off the ball, Casemiro was offering and providing that calmness, that patience that you need. And all of that, of course, some of it comes with experience. This guy has won it all at a club level. He knows what it's like to go to Athletic Club, with Real Madrid, etc. He knows the environment. He knows the vibe you're getting from the fans. And you just saw it today for me. He was a big player for Manchester United. And like I said, on the other side, the other part of the redemption story is Harry Maguire. Hell, he looked like me on right wing, guys. I'm not joking. That's how I play on right wing. Shimmy step, get away from the player, put a little feint, put the ball in. Could have got the assist, but of course Ugarte gets the assist instead. But Harry Maguire, again, another player that many wrote off. I am guilty of doing so, and this year has shown he's come up big for Manchester United and helping Man United get their foot into a final. Of course, that goal against Lyon, that winning goal as well. But kudos to him. Kudos to Casemiro. Another player that I'm actually going to give some kudos to today is Højlund. And you lot are probably thinking, Minna, what? I sit here and I highlight flaws that I see in his game, but today, despite the fact he didn't get on the score sheet and he did win the penalty for Manchester United for that second goal, I feel like everything else he did that I wanted him to do if he's not going to score occupy the centre-backs, use your physicality, use your strength, cause problems, hold the ball up, pass the ball off, make runs in behind to maybe take the centre-backs away and cause disruptions. Simple as that. It's really as simple as that. If you are not going to score and maybe other players are going to chip in with goals and you're having a real goal drought, the reason why it's important for your all-rounded play to have some effect and have some influence on the game is because that will give you confidence, that will give you a boost. And Manchester United need that because Højlund is the only striker that Man United have probably for the rest of the season, especially in the Europa League. If Man United get to the final, they are going to suit up with Højlund up top. So they need him to grow in confidence game on game. And today, didn't get a goal, like I said, won the penalty. Arguably, maybe could have scored if he didn't get dragged down. But he did well enough to win that penalty. And all-roundedness had a great contribution to the game. And none other than Captain Bruno. Captain Bruno steps up for the penalty. Never in doubt, by the way, when Bruno steps up for a penalty. And that second goal that he gets, the third for Manchester United, but his second goal slots it away from a great little link-up play with Ugarte. Ugarte, who was scrambling passes all over the place in the first half, suddenly has the ability to pull out a back heel in a tight space to get the assist for that Bruno goal. And again, like I said, Bruno dragging Manchester United through again this season. I think he's not that far. I think he's got like 19 goals and 18 assists in all comps, or maybe the other way around. But he's on his way potentially to finish the season with 20 goals plus, 20 assists plus in all competitions. Shout out to him, El Capitano, because honestly speaking, I don't know where Man United would have been without him. And overall in the team, especially, you know, in the back line, people had their reservations potentially about Victor Lindelof starting. But that goal line clearance in the first half from Victor Lindelof for me was probably the thing that helped Manchester. It was the float in the ocean that helped Manchester United to keep their head above water, because without that the game could have taken a completely different turn. If Athletic Club had gone up 1-0 and say INAKI Williams had scored that header that he had, a free header that just goes over the bar, it could have been a completely different trajectory of a game for Manchester United. And we've already seen how Man United perform away from home, in particular in Europa League. They don't make things easy for themselves, and that's why coming into the game, you know, against one of the toughest defenses in Europe, that press you, that suffocate you, that are quick to get forward. NICO Williams barely had a snuff throughout the game. His brother INAKI Williams likewise went a man down, which for me was a clear red card. I actually think that Garnacho chance, maybe had it gone to VAR, it could have been a penalty, but it looked like from the ref's perspective that it was just a tangle of legs and there was nothing there. And I feel like Athletic Club were desperate to get back into the game, because that call on Harry Maguire, it should never have gone to VAR. It should that was never a red card. But the atmosphere, shout out to the ref as well, because, you know, in some parts of the game, especially the first 20 minutes, I felt like the ref wasn't blowing for anything. And I thought, oh my God, this is going to be one of those games where it's just going to be a physical battle, and Manchester United maybe can't compete with that. But the ref didn't let the environment and the ambience from the fans get to him. But equally, Manchester United with a very disciplined second half performance. This over 90 minutes, it might not have been Man United's best game, but over, definitely since they scored, it was a better, well-disciplined, professional performance to see the game out and get a clean sheet. That's another big thing. Getting a clean sheet. We haven't had many of those clean sheets under Ruben Amorim, so equally that was important too. One foot in the final, you know, Brentford on the weekend. I kind of anticipate that, and I hope Ruben Amorim envisions it the same, to let the players that are returning from injury, that are not match fit, get match fit, because Man United need as many players as possible going into the second part of the game, going into the second part of the leg, and also potentially getting to the final. They need everybody fit. Ahmad, De Ligt, Maino, Mason Mount, they need everybody available. It was a nice little cameo from Ahmad. I didn't expect him to have much impact, if I'm being honest, because he came on with like 7 minutes to go. But I hope against Brentford we'll see them get involved, which will allow them to get match fit leading up to the second leg, and then also in anticipation of the final in a couple of weeks. And I'm not joking, guys. I don't want to think too far ahead to the final, but there is no way we can let Spurs win a European trophy. Forget losing in the final. The fact that if we lose in the final, Spurs could potentially win a European trophy. I know it's 3-1 in that fixture between Bodo Glimt, and they'll probably see it out Or maybe not. We never know with Spurs. But let me know what you guys thought. Who is your man of the match? Because my man of the match is actually going to be Casemiro. Across 90 minutes, I think he was Manchester United's best player. And like I said, his redemption story, Man United under Ruben Amorim didn't have a position for him. But it seems like they found this more, less defensive duty, more driving the ball forward, getting the ball forward. Maybe that's the role, facing goal that he's influenced. And we already know from set pieces he's been Man United's better players. And just on Ruben Amorim, I don't know if you guys see the style, but I see it. I saw it in this game. I saw when Patrick Dogu went to right wing back and Garnacho and Mason Mount switched. You had Garnacho holding the width on the left-handed side with Mason Mount just slightly behind him. You had not Mason Mount, sorry, Luke Shaw slightly behind him. You had Mason Mount more in the half spaces centrally because Patrick Dogu more naturally can play as the wider wing back. You got Bruno, you got Ugarte or Casemiro alternating in those other positions or those spaces behind the striker, and then you got Rasmus Højlund occupying the back line. I see the vision. I see what Ruben Amorim is trying to get at and what he's trying to create with Manchester United, having the wide centre backs darting up forward to get involved in transitions, in crosses, being an extra body in the box. If you lot watched Inter Milan versus Barcelona, you see how important their wide centre backs Bisek and Bastoni are for getting forward and being on the edge of the box and driving into the box when a ball is coming in. I saw that today with Leny Yoro. I saw it with Maguire. I saw it with Victor Lindelof. I see the vision. Whether or not Man United are going to be able to give him the players that allow him to complete this kind of puzzle and allow Man United to compete next season, I mean, that's a conversation for the next. But the Ruben Amorim style of football is on display. And in the first 20 minutes, I'm not going to lie, the game could have turned out either way. But shout out to Harry Maguire, because I swear to you, this Harry Maguire redemption story is crazy. It's crazy. Let me know your thoughts down below. But like I said, Casemiro man of the match. Man United 1 foot in the door of the final. And how fitting is it that the final is in Bilbao and they're beating Athletic Club to get to the final? Let me know your thoughts down below. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here.